All right, back on another episode of the Waterford FC Official Podcast, and joining me this week is James Olayinka. James, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good, yeah, great to finally sit down and have a chat. I have to say, even when I found out you were signing with us, I said there's someone I need to have on the podcast this season. So it's taken us
It's
a
taken
little
a
while to
while.
get here,
It's taken a while.
but we're here. How are you? How are you feeling? How's the body and all that at the moment?
Yeah, it's good. I think feeling a lot stronger. I was injured a couple of weeks ago, so that's taken a bit of time to get over, to be fair. But since then, I've got back into training, played a few times, and I'm feeling good.
Good, good. Is it a knock you're carrying, or is it something niggling at you, or just one of those things?
I don't know. It's been a bit interesting this year because obviously the way the year started, I had a couple of very, very strange injuries at the start of the season. My eye, my back, and then I've been carrying an issue with my knee throughout the season. But that's something I've had for a while. So it's just working through it, managing it at the same time, which Derek and Brown have been really good at helping me with. So we're managing, but I feel good.
Good. Well, look, it's your first year at the club. You arrived at the club with some fanfare, I will say. The first I actually heard of your name was from one Charlie Adam, believe it or not, where you were training with Fleetwood
Yes.
before you came here.
Yes.
And I had heard that we were potentially signing you, and Charlie Adam happened to be over here when he was managing Fleetwood. I had him in the hospitality lounge and we did an interview, and I actually asked him, and he said, what a player you're getting. So there's a compliment that you were getting even coming into the club.
Yeah, no, it was met Charlie when I was at Fleetwood for a bit. That was a good time for me. I needed it to get fit. Season before, so last season I had a bad shoulder injury, missed a lot of the season. So that time, I think it was around November, December time,
Would have been,
to just get back into the swing of things and get fit was really good. And they have a good setup over there, and it was good to train with some of the boys. I know some of them over at Fleetwood, so no, it was good.
How have you found it since you came? Settling in, all that kind of stuff. New country, new city, new place, new team.
Yes. To be fair, where I've been on loan a few times, I think getting used to a new team wasn't too difficult for me. And we have a good group, so
Yeah.
it was quite easy to settle in. And then there were other boys from England as well, so that's been good. The city, very different to London.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Very different to London. A lot more quiet. But it's been good. It's been good. We stay in a nice place. Getting to train is not too difficult. So the settling in part's been good, and now it just feels normal to me. So
I heard you're playing a bit of golf here in Waterford as well. Is that true?
yes, I'm trying. I only picked it up in maybe August time.
Okay, yeah.
So just a year now. So I've been playing a year. Played on the back end when I was in London when I had a bit more time, and since I've come here, I became a member at Faith Leg. So I've been playing there. I've been playing there with Grant, Maka, YT. So it's been good, and the courses here are nice. So.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, you can compare London with Waterford all you want, but we have got tremendous golf courses.
You do.
Grant actually was the one who we had Grant on the podcast previously, and he was saying you guys were playing a bit of golf, and I was saying I might even come out of retirement myself and play a little few holes with you, but it depends on what quality that I'm dealing with.
I think, you know what it is? It's up and down. There's some days you just think you've cracked it.
Yeah.
And then the other days I just go out there and I'm not quite sure what I'm doing all the time. So, no, it's a good game. It's up and down.
Yeah.
But
Literally.
I actually think that's what keeps you coming back.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say is I'm not a golfer at all, but I played a little bit during lockdown when there was absolutely nothing else to do. And I played out in Faith Leg as well. And some weeks I was throwing clubs up into the trees and throwing them across the course and Happy Gilmore and all that kind of stuff. And then other weeks then you might not hit one shot and all of a sudden you tee off on the 18th, you ping it up right towards the hotel and you go, yeah, I'll come back again next week.
That's exactly how I feel all the time. I think, and I don't know why it is, because you always feel like you're doing the same thing every single time, but get different results.
Yeah.
But no, I need to get a few lessons because I haven't never had a lesson before.
Okay.
So I need to get a few lessons and then hopefully just get a bit more consistent.
Should be included in your membership, I think, the lads out in Faith. Like, anyway, look, I'm after giving them enough plugs. They're not sponsoring us this time. That's Volkswagen Waterford, and we're very thankful to them. So listen, you mentioned you're a London boy, born and bred. For someone who's born and bred Waterford, what on earth is it like to grow up in London?
It's an interesting question. I think a lot of the time when people ask me about London, it's so interesting because London's so big. When you say North London, it's a completely different life to growing up in South London or East London or West London. So I was born in South London and then I moved out when I was really young, and now I just live just on the outskirts in Hertfordshire. So that's a lot more quiet. It's a lot more like here, to be fair.
Okay.
And it was near to the training ground where I was, so it was easy to get in. But London in general, whenever you go into central London, busy, tourists everywhere, shops, expensive, restaurants. But it's a good place. It's home, and I always love being in London.
Yeah, there's a mix of everything, I feel like. Like, I have relatives who are from, I suppose, what you call North London, up Watford, kind of bushy area.
Yeah, that's near me, to be fair. Yeah, right
I
near
thought
me.
so when you said Hertfordshire. But like, we say they're our cousins from London, but yet when you visit, you're a fair bit away from London.
Yes, that's the thing. I think here and other places I've been to. So when you're up in Manchester, you're in Manchester. Everything's 15 minutes away from you. In London, even though I say I live in London, to get to central London, that's 45 minutes. If there's traffic, it's an hour. So it's different. Very, very different. But I think the thing about it is every single place normally has everything you would need. And it's only when you're traveling for a specific thing that you have to travel about an hour or so to get there.
Concerts, West End shows,
Yeah.
all the lovely cultural stuff you got there. So listen, you mentioned born in South London and then moved to North London. And speaking of that, Arsenal, also born in South London and moved to North London.
Yes.
Were you an Arsenal boy, born and bred, or was it just when you arrived there as a youth that you kind of became?
No, I was always Arsenal. Always Arsenal. I think I went to my first game, I think when I was 4, 5, 6, something like that. My dad tricked me. He said we were going to Legoland. And we just turned up and we were at Highbury at the time.
Wow.
So I think it must have been 2004, 2005. So that was my first memory of Arsenal. I think we played Tottenham on the day. I think we drew, but yeah, always been Arsenal. Never changed. And my brother at the time, when we got a bit older, he played for Watford.
Right.
And he flip-flops of teams a bit. He supports City at the moment.
Of course he does.
So
if you're going to flip-flop teams, then
that's the one. So he supports City, but no, with me it's always been Arsenal. From my dad.
I mean, like Waterford, Highbury, around 04, 05, that Invincibles, Thierry Henry type of time against Spurs. I mean, I wouldn't blame you for being an Arsenal fan, to be fair.
Yeah, to be fair, I think my dad, he had lived through the years where we weren't the best, but we were always up there. And then, obviously, at that time we were the best, probably with Thierry Henry and the Invincibles. And I think I was interested in football at the time. I supported Arsenal because of my dad, but my football interest was there. But it was only a couple of years later where I really started to play football. And then being an Arsenal supporter, it was only Arsenal.
Yeah. Well, look, I ask pretty much all the lads this because I think every little boy, at least any little boy who kicks a football, always dreams of just being a footballer. That's what you want to do. And so few get to actually do it. At what age does it look like this could be it for you? Because you mentioned, like, obviously you go to Arsenal maybe 04 or 05, but how old were you then when you started properly playing football?
I think it must have been about the time I was 6. I remember, I think the first vivid memory I have was I was in so I must have been in year 2.
Okay.
And went to my school, my primary, or even nursery, or wherever it is at the time. They had a sort of a partnership with Fulham. So I went to one sort of skills school, and it was sponsored by Fulham, and Fulham then wrote a letter to my mum and wanted me to come down and take part in some sort of activity. I don't think it was official, But that was the first time I thought, oh, I really like playing football. And then when I was in year 2, I was at an after school football class, and one of the coaches who came down was the son of one of the scouts for the academy at Arsenal. So it was from there that he said, come down to Arsenal, come and train. We have loads of boys from all around London coming over, and then that was it. And then that just turned into being an under 8 at Arsenal, which is where you first start. So before it becomes official, before you sign your first sort of contract to Arsenal at under 9s, I was there for a year with the under 8s, where Trey was there, and a lot of the boys I sort of ended up being in the team with for a while, they were there under 8 as well, and that's how it started.
Well, look, I was going to leave Trey until the end, but you brought him up now. So how crazy must it be to, you know him since you're 8?
Yes.
And you end up not just playing together, but you're in Ireland together, playing for Waterford, living in the house together, playing golf together, whatever else you're doing.
Yeah.
Must be crazy.
Yeah, we've had this conversation before. It is crazy sometimes how life works and how it throws you in all sorts of different directions, and then you end up meeting someone down the line. But I've known Trey for a long time now. Yeah, we were together at under 8s, went through all the age groups together. And then Trey left Arsenal. When was it? Maybe he was 17, maybe a bit older, 18, 19. Trey left. So went over to Switzerland, and then to meet him back here is crazy. But it's not like we ever were out of touch.
Yeah, of course.
Always speaking in the same group chats. So to be here and playing together is crazy.
How do you find out then that the two of you are going to be, who signed first? You were signed first, I think?
I think I signed first.
Yeah.
And at the time, I think what's interesting is I had no clue, and we went to dinner, our friendship group. We went to dinner in central London, and it was then that Trey said, "Oh, I might be going to the team James signed for," because I think I had to sign in December, and Trey didn't sign until January.
That's right.
And we were having dinner sometime in December before I came over here, and that's when Trey mentioned it for the first time. I said, "Oh, that'll be good," and then a couple of weeks later, he was here. So
I just think it's unbelievable, because I know people were kind of, when you both came here, like, oh, they both trained with Arsenal, but when you think about the fact that you meet as under 8s,
yeah,
and end up playing in Ireland, I just think it's wonderful. Not all soulmates are meant to be your marital partners.
No.
Sometimes they're just your footballing partners, which is lovely. So look, you're a boyhood Arsenal fan. It sounds like you're a natural footballer if you're only just going to start a kicking ball and all of a sudden Fulham are writing your letters and then Arsenal are signing you. So would I be right in saying you're kind of a bit of a natural?
Yeah, I think even though my dad loved football, I wasn't in a situation where my mum and dad just put a ball in front of me when I was 3 or 4 or something like that. I think it was just my dad's love for Arsenal and watching football, playing football, and then eventually I think you just, when you're in preschool, wherever, there's a ball in the playground you're playing, and then I sort of been athletic.
Yeah.
So I think it was just that, and then just getting into it that way. And then just sort of stumbling across the fact that you're good at it, which is a weird thing sometimes, because I know loads of people have loads of different journeys. Some people start really late. So I started early, but I didn't intentionally start early.
Yeah. So what does it look like then as an under 9, I suppose, when you officially sign as a schoolboy?
Yes.
What does day to day look like as a boy? Because obviously, the vast majority, 99.9% of us, would have just went to school and maybe tried out to play on the soccer teams in the school.
Yes.
But what does it look like as an actual 9-year-old and you're signed for Arsenal and that's your life?
It's a bit strange. I think you don't really take it all in straight away, because I think at that point you just love playing football and nothing else comes into it. So I think it's a challenge, I would say, when you're younger, purely from the standpoint that at Arsenal, when I was there, maybe not under 9s, but as soon as, definitely under 10s, you're starting to train 3 times a week in the evenings, so after school. And I think for me it was a bit more difficult because I lived so far away.
Right.
I lived in, as we said, so I lived just outside, so in Hertfordshire area, and the training ground at times in Chingford, so that's East London. So that journey at 5 o'clock after school, you're looking at like an hour and a half with the traffic. to make it for 6 o'clock, and my school didn't finish till about 4:30.
Right.
So that was difficult. But then, and you play games on a Saturday, and I think at that point you get your first taste of consistent having to be ready to play a game on a Saturday, and you start that from really early because you're playing against Chelsea, you're playing against Fulham, you're not going on the far trips playing teams like Newcastle and stuff like that, but you're playing all the teams in and around London, Reading, and teams like that. So you do start sort of pitting yourself against other people your age from really, really early. And the training's good.
Well, look, we can get into some of your Arsenal teammates in a minute, but who are some of the players coming up? Because as you mentioned, you do start pitting yourself against other players of that age group, and I've heard countless stories from podcasts and TikTok videos and stuff like that of seasoned pros who are now retired talking about hearing about other players in the youth systems and all that kind of stuff. Who are some of your peers around your age group that we might know?
Oh, who are playing now?
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah, from other clubs now, not from Arsenal.
Okay, so I think I can't remember a lot of the ones when we were really, really young,
but no, you're just
except,
coming up.
To be fair, Chelsea had a lot of players who have been there in the system since we were 9, who I still speak to sometimes now. You have the likes of Callum Hudson-Odoi, who I played with when I was 8, 9, and he's now doing what he's doing. You had people like Reece James, Mark Guehi, Conor Gallagher. So all of those guys we were playing against when we were 8 and 9, and played against them through every single age group, having battles. Paris Magoma, who's at Brentford now. So there are quite a few. Who, throughout Mason Greenwood was another one when we did play against Manchester United. A few players playing in the Championship now, Ian Carlos and players like that. So it's good. To be fair, it's good to see that the age group you were in, and we were successful against a lot of teams. Probably not against Chelsea so much. They were tough to beat. But it's good to see that a lot of those players have kicked on and everyone's sort of having their own journey.
And then within Arsenal, then am I right in saying Saka would have been around your age as well?
Yes, so he's just the year below me. I think the first time he started playing with us must have been about 15, 16 when he came up and started playing in our team. And then we obviously went over to Colney, and that's when he really kicked on. And when we were under 18s, he was playing with us a lot. We went to the under 23s, and I went to the under 23s a year early. And he also went at that time, so he was playing 2 years above his age then, and then had a really good couple of seasons in the under 23s, and then straight in. Yeah,
I mean, like, there's hundreds of good to great players.
Yes.
But like, there's very few generational talents, and I think it's fair to say Bukayo Saka is a generational talent. Was it obvious to maybe his peers, guys like yourself, playing with him, this is a really, really special player?
Yes, I think even before we went up to before we became professionals, went up to Colney, you had started to see, especially under 16, he was starting to play with us more. But then at the time, you probably think he's just a really good player. And then I would say the first time you knew that he was really going to kick on was probably towards the back end of when we were under 18s, when he was playing with us consistently and constantly affecting the score sheet, constantly getting goals. And then by the time we went to under 23s, he was one of our best players consistently. So it was at that time that you knew that when he made his debut, and it wasn't going to be a problem for him because he was already kicking on above his age.
Yeah, no, as I said, a generational talent. And obviously, look, we'll move on in the conversation in a second, but just when we're speaking about him, like he missed a very famous penalty for England.
Yes.
Is it difficult to see someone, in that kind of a situation? Because not most of us will never experience something at that level.
Yes.
How do you feel for someone who's your mate and for that long having to go through something like that?
It's difficult. It is difficult. I think it's always difficult watching football, and especially when you're watching England.
Yeah.
Because when you have players who you know personally and speak to see them playing at that level, you just want them to do well. So when you see something like that, I think the most difficult part is the people from the outside not understanding everything it takes to be in that situation and execute. I think that's what makes it difficult when you're friends with the person. But the way he bounced back from it, I remember we spoke not too long after he missed that penalty. But his character means he was always going to bounce back from it and keep kicking on the way he has done.
Yeah, that's cool, man. It's really cool. Before, as I was doing a bit of prep for this, I try not to prep too much because I don't want them to feel formulaic, and I'd rather just have a chat to ye lads. But while I was doing a bit of prep for this, one of the lads inside in the office showed me a goal you scored for Arsenal on a pre-season tour in America.
Yes.
What a worldie! That must have felt good.
It did.
Colorado, am I right in saying that?
Yes, it was. It was maybe 2019 or something like that. I was my first pre-season tour with the first team. I think Unai Emery was the manager at the time, and it was the first game of the tour. Mm-hmm. We had Colorado, and at the start we didn't know what he was gonna do. We thought he was gonna just start all the first teamers straight away, but he put about 4 or 5 of us younger ones in, mixed with a few of the first teamers. Mm-hmm. And no, it was a good day. It was a good game. And at the time, when I look back at it now, everything in that moment happened so quickly. We had just turned the ball over, then I won it, and then just thought I'm going to shoot, and it went into the top corner. And I think the most interesting part about that was, so I've scored the goal, and typically you're thinking afterwards, oh my God, I've just scored for the Arsenal first team.
Yeah.
And I've scored a goal like that for the Arsenal first team. You go back into the change room expecting your phone to be going crazy and stuff like that. But because we were in America, everyone in the UK was asleep. Everyone in the UK was asleep. So it was only 3-4 hours later that I think we had got back to the hotel in fact, no, we flew straight after the game, flew back to Los Angeles.
Lovely.
And it was only when we landed, got back to the hotel 8, that afterwards we weren't allowed phones there. So I went back, got my phone, and then my phone was just, everyone was messaging me, but it was really good, to be fair.
But beyond the goal, I mean, to actually get the call to say you're going on a pre-season tour with the senior team and also with the American tour, like for me personally, there's nothing like a free trip somewhere, especially to the States. You're talking about going to LA, Colorado, big places. It must have been absolutely just wonderful to get that call to say you were going.
Yeah, it was. I think at the time I had just signed my professional contract. So I had signed it a couple of months earlier. Mm-hmm. And to be fair, it wasn't as daunting as what it would have been, because just before that, I don't think they do them anymore, but there was a Premier League winter break.
Okay.
And the team went to Dubai for a week. And I went on that trip. And that was the first time I played with the first team on that trip and been away on a trip. So where I had that a couple of months before, then going to America was less of a daunting task. But they had some massive names in the squad at that point. And they were all really good, to be fair, with the younger ones. They were all welcoming, trained hard. They sort of helped you in training with things you needed to know, and the manager was really good with us as well. So it was a good trip. Yeah,
you must have had some incredible teachings and learnings from that squad. Even coming into, I suppose, what would it have been, 2019, 1920.
Yeah,
you would have been talking about Martinelli. Probably would have been there. Right, saying that David Luiz.
Yeah, so there. It was interesting because that summer Martinelli had just signed.
Just signed, okay.
So that game that I scored in was the first time he was playing for Arsenal. That was his first game as well. And he scored that day. Mm-hmm. We won I think it was 3-2, I want to say. 3-2. And Bukayo scored as well.
Right.
So the three of us scored that day. And that was the first time he played. But the rest of the players in the squad, David Luiz, Mesut Ozil, who else did you have? Aubameyang, Granit Xhaka, Lacazette. So no, it was a good side. Yeah. A really good team, to be fair.
Great football education.
Yes.
That you got, for sure. Talk to me then about being a sub in the Community Shield in 2020 against Liverpool.
Yes.
What an experience that must have been.
Yeah, that was a really good experience. It was interesting. That was at Wembley, and it was during the COVID years.
It was, yeah.
It was during the COVID years. So it's interesting because I had literally been at Wembley maybe a month beforehand for the final of the League Two playoffs. under COVID as well. So I just had a taste of getting promoted to League One with Northampton, and then a month later went back to Arsenal, and we were just, the manager wanted me to be on the bench along with, I think, Bukayo and Tyrese John Jules at the time, and it was a really good experience. I think Arsenal had just I think we had won the FA Cup.
Just won the FA Cup.
We had just won the FA Cup, and you're against a Liverpool team who were the best
At the time.
by a mile, but at the time, and had loads of big players, Virgil, and so it was a really good experience. And then to win the game, win it on penalties, and then afterwards I swapped shots with Jorginho Wijnaldum.
Oh, my favourite player of all time for Liverpool.
Wijnaldum. So no, it was really good, to be fair. Really, really good.
It's incredible.
Good experience.
Yeah, no, that's just unbelievable. And even to be like Community Shield, you know, listen, fans can discuss it as, is it a trophy, is it not a trophy? But to be a young player on the bench, to be lifting that,
Yes,
must have just been unbelievable.
yeah,
Dream come true
100%.
kind of stuff.
Yeah. To be involved in a game like that, in a game you've watched on TV so much, so just to be involved was really, really good. And obviously it would have been better if there were fans in there, but nevertheless it was a really good day.
Nobody can ever take that away. Talk to me then about you spent a good bit of time at Southend, I know.
Yes.
I think about 20 appearances for them, which is probably over the course of a season with them.
Yes.
And you scored an FA Cup goal for them as well, I believe.
Yes.
Like, that's pretty exciting.
I would actually say my time at Southend probably holds two of the best goals I've scored in my career. I think one was against Mansfield, and then that FA Cup goal against Bournemouth. I think it was FA Cup
That's right, yeah.
second round, third round. No, it was a good goal, but it was away at Bournemouth, which is where the under-21s, Arsenal under-21s play all their home games. So it was a game where I felt at home.
Yeah.
I felt like I was just playing the same way I do all the time in the same place. So my time at Southend was good. I think the club were in some troubles at the time. Struggles with the owner, sort of a big divide between the fans and the ownership. So it was a difficult time being young and having that first experience of when things don't go really well at a club. And they were just on a bit of a downward spiral. And on top of that, it was just after the COVID year. So my living conditions were a bit strange because I was living in a hotel at the time.
Right.
Which is difficult. Small room in a hotel, and just being there 24/7 at the same time where life's different for everyone. So shops aren't open. So it wasn't as if I could just go out and do different things. It was really, really a different time. But I liked the experience I had there because there's a lot I gained from that.
Yeah.
Just seeing the different side to football, especially being at Arsenal, winning most games, being at Northampton, getting promoted, and then being on the other end of the spectrum where things aren't going well and every game's got pressure on it for different reasons. But it was a good experience. I felt like I dealt with it and did well there.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I spoke to Finley Armstrong on the podcast as well in an interview we recorded, and he brought up how important it is for youth players emerging to get experience of what he called men's football.
Yes.
And I brought up the fact that sometimes you see a promising young player and you want them to immediately be playing in your Premier League team, and we often lose sight of the fact that a loan is really good for their career.
Yes.
Because you get that experience, and as you mentioned, both ends of this, you're at Northampton, you're having a good time there, but then you go to Southend and you're battling in every game. That surely must add to your experience and your skill as a player.
Yeah, I think it does. I think it's the difference. I think when you're in youth football, everyone wants to win, but what happens if you lose is a question I've always had in youth football. If you lose, you move on to the next week and life goes on. When you head into men's football and people are playing for their families, playing for mortgages, playing for their next holiday and stuff like that, and every win matters, you sort of get thrown into that environment, and you quickly understand the importance of consistency. I think the consistency, especially from a manager's point of view, a manager always wants to know what he's going to get from you as a player. So I think that's one of the biggest things you learn going into men's football, the need to be consistently who you are. You can't be good one week, bad another week, bad another week, good the next week. Because in youth football it works, but in men's football, it's sort of the first time other people are really relying on you to be yourself and bring what you can to the table for themselves. So yeah, it's a different environment, and you do have players who don't go on loan and end up having good careers. You have a few of the boys, the younger boys, you see them in the Premier League all the time, straight from academy into the first team, and it's not that one works over the other, but I think you get, being on loan should be something everyone should value because you get good experience from it.
Yeah, and it's very, very interesting you should say that. I don't think I've ever heard that put that way before, that like in youth football you're almost playing for your development is what I get from you, whereas in men's football you're playing for your livelihood.
That is the big difference. I think every game in youth football, of course we all want to win, but it's about improving, so you're working towards becoming what is a finished article. But in men's football it's less about that. It's more tactically, we're going to do this to stop them doing this, and we're going to win the game because of this way. Whereas in youth football, especially somewhere like Arsenal, we're playing 4-3-3. That's how we play. We don't change for anyone, and we play our game the same way. Whereas you head into men's football, you're now doing analysis on other players where the manager might say, we're changing to this formation and I want you to do this because of this, because there is more on the line. So that's a massive difference, and you do learn pretty quickly, I would say. I think, remember my first loan being in Northampton, first day, I had an old school manager, Keith Carl. It was a big difference between Arsenal, where we kept it all the time. Here we went back to front quite quickly. And landing on second balls is something that, of course, is a big part in the game, but where at Arsenal we had the ball all the time, it wasn't a big strength of mine. Whereas going to Northampton, I quickly had to learn that's a massive, massive thing in the game, in men's football, in League Two, that you need to be on top of and you need to be good at. And I picked it up pretty quickly, and I think it's put me in good stead. And
something that definitely you'd be able to use here. I mean, I think it's fair to say it's been a season of ups and downs. It's been a bit of a roller coaster this season. And I think we'd be sugarcoating it and completely making things up if we said it was an absolutely unbelievable season. Not that it's been a disaster, but it's just certainly been ups and downs. Is your ability to deal with that then coming from that football education that you got, all those loans, you can put it all to practice here for this season especially?
Yeah, I think being in a situation where things don't go so well and you need to bounce back and get another win and get back on track is something that I've had to do quite a few times, especially on some of those loans. And like I said, the season hasn't been the best season ever, but it's still going and we can still do some things. I think we just got to find consistency. And I think, as I said before, consistency is the biggest thing. And probably just a few times this season, we haven't been as consistent as we could have been and got 3, 4, 5 wins in a row.
Yeah. What do you think that is? Like, it's really difficult as a fan. We play football, but amateur level and stuff, you don't really get to that point. But like we've seen since John and Danny and all that came in, like we've seen what the team is capable of, and we certainly have belief in the team as a supporter base and stuff like that. And what do you think it is? Because it's such a great group, so much talent in it, but there is inconsistencies there. Is it a mental thing? Is it injuries? Is it?
I actually think when you play in England, you have 20, sometimes 24 teams in the league, and you get a really big gap between the best team in the league, the worst team in the league, maybe 5th in the league and 17th in the league. I think here, where the league's smaller, games are really defined and won and lost on really small margins. And I think at times this year we've been on the wrong side of those because it's one mistake or the ball hasn't bounced our way. And I think what we probably need to improve on going forward is tidying up on those small mistakes and the little things that you can control. Sometimes you can't control things, of course, but I think the things that we can control, sometimes we've been one up in games late on and let that lead slip. And in a league where having a 1-0 lead is so precious, because the games are so tight and the teams are quite evenly matched. When you do have that advantage, you can't give it away. And I think a few too many times this year we've probably given up leads we really, really shouldn't have. So I think that's in it. And then when you look at the table now, the gap is still very, very manageable. So he's talking 8 points, 9 points. So if we had cleaned up some of those results, we'd be sitting here having this conversation, and it'd be very, very different. So
well, look, something that stands out to me constantly when I speak to you boys, is that us as fans, and primarily, like, I know I work for the club, I'm the commercial manager, I do these media things, but primarily I'm a fan of the club.
Yes.
And I find it really difficult to bounce back after, like, listen, we're not sure when these go out and stuff like that, but we didn't have a great result last week as we record this.
Yes.
And the first thing I say to you is, how's everyone doing after that? And you go, we're grand, we're on to the next game. And I think that's something people miss out on, is the mentality really is there. You guys aren't going, oh, well, we're feeling sorry for ourselves, we're licking our wounds. You're already looking forward to the next game, because we've seen, bar maybe 2 results this season, away to Derry and home to Sligo, we've been in every game pretty much.
Yeah, and I think that's, it helped. That definitely does help with that ability to bounce back. If you're in a game where it was tight and it was a mistake that cost you, or a decision that didn't go your way, even though it's tough, and I think after games, if you're in the change room, you'll see how disappointed everyone is after some results. It's a difficult place to be afterwards. But I think the biggest thing is the games come around quickly. It's Friday to Friday. And like I said about this league, you lose a game, but you win 2 or 3, you're back right in amongst it. So I think it's really important to be able to bounce back quickly, because if you don't, with the way the league is, you can lose 4 or 5 in a row, which we had at the start of the season. So maybe at that time we weren't bouncing back and dealing with disappointment as well as we should have. And I think recently we've been better at that. A bad result, I think when we lost to Derry, bounced back and won the derby at home against Cork, so and won 2 in a row after that.
Went away to Galway, won for the first time in 17 or 18 years. Something I actually wanted to ask and haven't yet. How surprised were you with the competitiveness of the league? Because I like what you said there, that there could be 20 teams in the league in England, whereas there's only 10 here, and everyone is quite close together.
Yes.
Were you surprised by how competitive it is?
I was. I think coming here, I knew there was somewhat of a hierarchy. You have Shamrock, you have Bohemians. So you have some of the big teams, Shelbourne, who were obviously the champions. And I thought that playing especially, you'd see a really, really big gap in terms of how they operate and how they go about things and in the games. But throughout the year, it sort of dawned on me that these games they're nip and tuck. And you look at the 2 games we played against Shamrock most recently, there wasn't a lot in those games. We had a mistake when we played them away from home most recently, and then the game we played against them at home, we were the better side for most of the game.
Sure.
So, and that's a team right at the top who are playing in Europe and stuff like that. So I think I have been surprised at how competitive it is, and even now Cork at the bottom of the league, and you can see, especially near the start of the season, everyone was taking points off of everyone. So yeah, I think that's a good thing to see. It shows that the league as a whole is getting better, and then it shows that you have to be on it in every game. It's not no year's going to be a foregone conclusion, and no game's going to be a foregone conclusion.
Well, look, as we kind of move to wind this down, what is the? We still have a few games left to play this season. What's the aim? What's the kind of collective thinking towards it all? Is it just to mathematically be safe, or is it to keep pushing to see how far we can go?
I know I heard from a coach one time, first and foremost, I think you need to make sure you do what you can, and to sort of stay in the league. You got to deal with that first and make sure you win the games you need to win. And I think we've always, especially since Danny and the gaffer came in, we've always wanted to look higher and look towards Europe and those European places. And I think sometimes we've missed opportunities to to really go from just on the outside looking into we're really in the mix, especially with the game last week. But I think with 8 games to go now, 8 games to go, everything's still to play for. I think you can still go down. You can still end up in the top 3, which is a good thing about the league. So I think we have to just be confident going into the next day and win as many as possible and see where you end up. Because if you win a few and other results go your way, you could be in the last 2 games of the season right on the cusp of Europe. So I think we always have to look forward. And I know we have the squad to do and we have the quality to do it. It's just getting the confidence in the squad and results breed confidence. So hopefully we can pick one up this week and kick on from there.
Brilliant. Well, listen, I don't think there's any better way to finish this chat, James. Delighted we finally got to do this. Thank you very much for joining me.
Long time coming. It was good. Thank you for having me.
Thanks a million.